Good evening, friends, and welcome back to another episode of Moonshot Conversations with our special guest, Andrew Newman, author of Conscious Stories for Children, and my dear friend, Lina Asher.
Hello, everyone. And Andrew, thank you so much for waking up at 4 a.m. for our Korroboree. We're truly grateful. So our Korroboree, you're going to absolutely love hearing from Andrew. I have interviewed Andrew for our Korroboree platform, and he is such a delightful storyteller. There is a stunning journal for all of you that Andrew himself has designed with us. So please do not forget to download it. And Andrew is here only today, and he will be happy to answer any questions that our Korroboree has. So please keep asking.
In fact, we look forward to the engagement, to your comments, to your questions. We already have lovely people joining us on the show, Andrew. There is Nailesh Shah, there is Dharna Kapoor Vij, there is Ravi Salunke, who are adding up. More and more people are joining the show. We are almost having more than 353 people live, and we look forward to your comments and your questions. And Andrew and Lina are here to add some valuable content which will excite you. So my first question to you, Andrew, to begin the show tonight is, what are conscious stories?
Agnelorajesh, thank you for having me. Lina, beautiful to be here. See you again. Conscious stories are a collection of children's books that are purposely designed to help parents connect more deeply with their children, particularly in the last minutes of the day. The stories all start with a breathing practice. They all end with an activity page, and the adventures that the characters go on will help kids learn social emotional skills and mindfulness values in your home.
Andrew, I remember the conscious story, the one that you read to me when we did the interview, the hug that got stuck, and it was just truly amazing.
It was such a fun story. One of the kids' favorites. There it is, the hug who got. If you've never seen a hug before, that's what it looks like.
Wow, fantastic. So friends, we have got more than 800 people watching us live, and Paul Ritesh, Vinita Melwani, Amol Patil, Jaya Parekh, Jaya Patil, Divya Punjabi, Rohit Raul, and lots of other people are joining up. So Andrew, look out for some very good comments and questions. Lina, they're all there with us today. My question to you, Andrew, would be, do you have a personal favorite story from all those that you have written till date? And could you please read out one for our audience, our Korroboree?
Absolutely. There are 14 stories to date, books 15 and 16 coming soon. But my favorite here is The Boy Who Searched for Silence. And I'd like to take us through that. Now, as I said, each story starts with a breathing practice. It's called the Snuggle breathing meditation. I'm going to invite us to do that together. It's 4 simple lines. So please breathe with me. Breathing in, I breathe for me. Now, as parents, we're busy, so sometimes we forget to take care of ourselves first. So we can do that breath again. I breathe for me. I breathe for you. I breathe for us. And I breathe for all that surrounds us. Now, I feel more connected with each of you and knowing this wider community is watching. And that's the power of breath when we do it together. So let me come a little closer, show you the pictures. Once upon a time, or where are we? Once upon a time, there was a boy who went searching for silence. He had heard that silence is golden, silence is peaceful, silence is blissful. Most of all, he had heard that in silence, he could be himself. This boy struggled with the noise of everyday life. There were cars and buses, advertisements and programs, instructions and advice. Everywhere he went, noise entered in. He found this very difficult, so he went on a search for golden, peaceful, blissful silence. He walked to the bottom of the garden searching for silence, but the neighbor's dog was barking. He walked into the park searching for silence, but the frisbee players were laughing. He walked to the forest searching for silence, but the dog walkers were talking. So he walked right up to the top of the hill. There he sighed. I've done it, he thought, as he listened carefully. I've found silence. But just as he had the thought, a noisy airplane flew overhead. Oh no, he exclaimed. There is no silence out there in the world. This was a false quest. He thought they lied to me, he blamed. There's no such thing as golden, peaceful, blissful silence. He raged with anger, stomping and shouting and throwing rocks down the hill. Parents might recognize this tantrum. With time, his anger softened. I will have to struggle with the difficult noises all my life. What am I to do? He cried out loud. He sat down. Utterly helpless, he closed his eyes and wept. At first he wept short, breathless sobs, gasping for each new breath. And over time, his breathing softened and deepened, becoming deeper and deeper, in and out. The boy felt like he was falling inwards. He was too tired to be scared, so he fell. He was too helpless to think better, so he fell. He was enjoying the familiar feeling, so he fell. He fell right into silence. Silence was like a dream to him. A whole world opened up. It was spacious, comforting, and oh so peaceful. A big smile spread across his face as he rested in silence, feeling deeply nourished inside. Aha! He thought, silence is not a thing to find. It's a place inside me. I can go there and visit whenever and wherever I want. From inside silence, he could hear another airplane fly overhead. He simply smiled. From inside silence, he could hear the dog walkers talking. He simply smiled. From inside silence, he could hear the frisbee players laughing, and the boy simply smiled. When he walked down the hill, silence came with him. When he walked through the forest, silence came with him. When he crossed the park, silence came with him. Silence was his friend. That day, he fell head over heels in love with silence. He loved silence so deeply, and silence loved him back. Each day after, he made sure to take 5, 10, 20 special minutes to fall inwards into silence. All the things he had heard turned out to be true. He discovered that silence is golden, silence is peaceful, and silence is very deliciously blissful. Most of all, he discovered that in silence he could be himself. This made him very, very happy. The end.
Wow, that's beautiful. You know what I love, Andrew? I simply love a few things. One is that the no text on the page. And that visually, that denotes silence. That was just like, whoa. And that the boy's core lights up, and that it's just beautiful. And kids just kind of they read visually, right? So it was stunning.
Thank you. Yeah,
Fantastic.
And the artist is Alexis Aronson back in Cape Town, South Africa.
Fantastic. So, Andrew, there are so many comments from the Korroboree, the audience that we have today. I appeal to the audience, please ask as many questions as possible to Andrew so that he can definitely share the knowledge and the experience that carries with him. My question to you, Andrew, is why is storytelling an important activity for parents to engage in with their children?
Well, books give us this incredible opportunity to come alongside. We read the story together. It creates togetherness. It creates connection. The stories themselves can lead us on adventures that without even leaving our home, we can go on an adventure like we just did with this boy. We can climb the mountain with him, and we can have the victories that he had in his journey we can take to heart. So that's really one of the key powers of story.
And nobody forget what we spoke about last time in The Power of the Story, that the brain is a pattern-seeking instrument, that the brain will actually align with you as a storyteller as you tell the story.
Awesome. Awesome. The audience is just enjoying it, and they are commenting about the way Andrew explained the story, and his voice was actually making us feel of watching the story happening live in front of our eyes. And they loved your graphics as well on the book, Andrew. That's fantastic comments coming in from the audience. Andrew, why do you feel children love having the same book read and reread to them?
There's a real familiarity in repeating a story over and over again. Children are craving safety. Also in the developmental stage, at that point, they're looking to make meaning of words and pictures still. It's often before children can read for themselves that this repetition becomes something that they really enjoy. It's important to allow them that repetition and to encourage it. And this is how we end up with favorite stories, because we want, read this one again, read this one again.
So just from a brain science point of view, I'd like to add to that, Andrew, that, because kids then can actually predict what's coming to the end of the story, every time they predict correctly, which they do after they've been read a story 4 or 5 times, when they predict correctly, their brain actually releases dopamine, which is the reward chemical that makes them feel so good. So that's another reason why kids always want the same story again and again.
Thank you.
Fantastic, fantastic. And children have such powerful and vivid imaginations. So what do you feel happens while growing up that dilutes the ability to imagine?
Well, life gets a little bit more serious. We start having our first fears show up. As we get scared, we start trying to make strategies to be kept safe. And those strategies are invariably about following rules of some sort, whether those rules are real rules or rules that the children imagine are being imposed on them. Those things begin to close us down a little bit, and our imagination suffers under that, unfortunately.
So, Andrew, do you have a story about overcoming fear?
Many of the stories are themed about safety to be oneself and about a sense of belonging. So we have a book called We Are Circle People, which is about belonging in the modern day village. And when I think of the big black leopard, how Diablo became spirit, there was a lot of fear in him about the new home that he got moved from the zoo to the wildlife sanctuary, and he didn't settle. How he overcame that was through the active listening of an animal whisperer in this case. But there's a role model there for us that says when we listen to our children, we can help them overcome their fear. And this is something I invite parents to help with.
So we've got our first question from our Korroboree. Amol Patil is asking, could you tell us some of the key aspects of storytelling?
Well, I'm a little bit theatrical, and I think that a bit of theater is a key aspect of storytelling. When setting up the space for a story is helpful. This is why the breathing happens at the beginning. But we've shared in the journal with you 4 things that as a family you can influence to create a good environment. And quickly they are yourself. how are you doing? Your child, is it too late? Is it too early? Are they distracted by something else? Catch the right moment. Then we get to control the environment that the story is being told in. Is the television still on, or do we have everybody's attention? And finally, you get to control what the story is that you've chosen to read. And all of those will help you create a richer, more connected moment in your storytelling.
And so, Andrew, I'm really looking forward to us creating a parenting course about storytelling.
Yeah, absolutely. This has got me excited as well.
Wow. So, Andrew, what are some things we parents could be more conscious of so that children grow up feeling whole, complete, and safe to be themselves?
Well, I have learned from a teacher by the name of Dr. Becky Bailey that there are 4 ingredients to creating connection. And I think that if we can learn and practice this better, we'll have better connection. And those are, of course, presence is the first one, eye contact, touch, and a playful situation. And story can offer that for us. So presence, eye contact, touch, and a playful situation helps us create better connection. Those are the ingredients that you're looking for. You know what it's like when your kids are looking away, you don't have connection. So, and we also know what we do with the babies when we come right up and we go, oh, look at you. We're coming right into that space. You spoke about dopamine already, Lina, and dopamine is again released through this sequence if we can get these 4 ingredients together to create a beautiful moment of connection.
So Jaya Parekh is asking, does storytelling come naturally to humans?
I believe it does. We certainly have, for time immemorial, we have been storytellers. But we also used to have a fire that we would come and sit around after the hunt or in the village when we more naturally told stories and we were less distracted by our screens. And so we do have to lean a little bit into storytelling and in simple invitations like, what's the highlight of your day? Or did anything challenging happen that we can help you with? These things can open up micro stories, and those little stories can really go a long way to create a fun moment of connection.
So Divya is asking a question, and Divya is actually how I discovered you. So Divya is asking, how did you select the themes for your stories, Andrew? Did you have some learning outcomes that you had in mind for the children?
Well, I come from a therapeutic background and a mindfulness background that as I've learned, done my own personal development and healing, and I've learned to help other people therapeutically, I've started to see that the big themes are common across all people. So our story today, The Boy Who Searched for Silence, we're all in some way going to be doing that search. When I think about the hug who got stuck, little hug coming out of the hug factory in the middle of the heart, gets caught in the web of sticky thoughts. We all have that head-heart dilemma. So the themes are big human themes. The first story was called A Little Light. When I wrote it, I was just journaling, and I wrote a poem, and it needed some pictures. And it's about this little light that in a boy that wants to shine, and it gets a little bit confused and lost along the way and needs some help. And that help comes when a team of doctor, therapist, church, and healer all work together to help the light shine. Now, this was what I had learned on my journey, that my light had become clouded, and it came back out again into these stories, into the writing, once I had the support of a beautiful team. So this, I think, is a very common human theme.
So is it possible that as parents read and reread the books to their children, they could experience shifts in their subconscious that may allow for their inner child to heal, Andrew?
Oh, I mean, wouldn't that be great, right? Where
yes,
if we just dedicate 20 minutes a day to helping our children transition from awake to asleep, and in the process, we get a whole lot of love and self-reflection and healing of our own childhood issues. Parents, I understand the anxiety of going, am I a good enough parent? I hear a lot of that. And again, creating a special moment and a dedicated time for story with your little ones, well, that helps you also know that your kids are doing okay, that you're doing okay as a parent. You know, as you said, the inner child of the adult can also love the richness of these stories and get a lot from it.
Wonderful. So a lot of people are just commenting on how beautiful the story was, how how simple yet profound it was. So you're getting great comments, Andrew.
Thank you. I'm glad to hear that. That's it warms my heart.
So why do you feel humanity is experiencing an increase in depression rates across the world?
Oh, sure. I'm so sad that this is a true fact. We're struggling with disconnection, and as we said, the village used to have a fire in it for us to gather. I mean, this is even before COVID. You know, we have some extra challenges with the distancing that's come in with COVID. We're not getting those ingredients that I spoke about in connection. Eye contact's coming over a screen. Touch isn't happening in the way that we need it to activate the dopamine. The dopamine is the happy hormone. So depression comes. But I speak in my TED Talk. My TED Talk's on why the last 20 minutes of the day matter. But one of the points was that connection is the antidote for moments of disconnection. If we've had a painful experience in our day, we need to metabolize that through our system. We need to, especially children, need to make sense of it. And if they can make sense of it, then they can come back to being still their authentic self. If we're feeling scared to be ourselves, and we begin hiding, and we hide, and we hide, and we hide, of course we're going to get depressed, because it's our nature to be who we are and to express ourselves. So this is the call for all of us to lean in and go, be yourself authentically. All of the stories like the forgetful elephant, the elephant who tried to tiptoe, who wasn't, she's not being herself. When we be ourselves, our happiness comes to surface, and the depressiveness will dissolve and move away.
So Ravi Salunka is asking a question that's really important for everyone to answer, to hear the answer of. And he's asking, what is the difference in the outcome for kids between watching a story from a multimedia source and listening it to from someone?
Well, two things. One, it's not about the book you're reading. It's about the lap the kid is sitting on. So it's everything to do with you. You are the adult. When I see a child and they just walk past me outside and we make connection, I know that in that moment, I am the adult in the relationship. And it's like, this moment is going to pass, and this moment is now. And I want to make every possibility to share my heart, my kindness with this child, because they will learn from that kindness straight away. Just sitting watching on a screen, here's a dilemma. You can go to YouTube and you can just press play, and the kids can watch and listen to my stories, and they will get the essence of the story. What they won't get is your touch, your presence. I come back again. You can create the playful situation. So it's not going to fire the same hormones that we've been speaking about and give the dopamine. And more than that, speaking to you as a parent, I don't want you to miss out on a moment. I don't want, let alone them miss out on the moment. I don't want you to miss out on the moment that your kids will have grown up in the blink of an eye. They'll be in their teens. They won't be wanting you to sit with them anymore. They will be having their independence. If you've got a child, particularly younger than 7 or 8 years old, I would say use every moment to kind of sit and be with them, and to let them learn from you your ways and your nature, and model to them how they can be in the world.
So Divya said something beautiful. She said, we need more lap time and less app time.
Nice.
That's a very smart one. Lina and I have done a moonshot conversation on being mindful of choosing one's belief. We all know as one's belief create one's reality. Andrew, do you have a story that explores this?
Absolutely. The hug who got stuck is so the little hug coming out of the hug factory in the center of the heart gets caught in the web of sticky thoughts. So sticky thoughts like, I'm not good enough. Nobody loves me. Nobody wants to play with me. Now, if here's our beautiful hug factory, but everybody's got one of these in their hearts. And when the hug gets stuck, the world gets gloomy, right? Because now the love can't flow out of the heart, and other love can't get into the heart, and the whole world gets dark and gloomy. And so this is about the fact that our beliefs can either trap us or set us free. And we have a choice, as I listened to your beautiful conversation about the power of belief, that we can choose our beliefs, and we can redirect our mind, and we can choose who we're giving our power to. So if we, and I thought, some days I sit when I'm selling books at a market, and I think, oh, I'm wasting my time. And when I'm thinking that, then my energy just spirals down, down, down. By the end of the day, I'm exhausted. When I sit there and I think, I'm going to have a great day today, then you know what happens? I have a great day.
Yes.
It's kind of as simple as that, but seeing the thoughts is tricky. They're very slippery little things. And the story of the hug who got stuck helps us understand it a little bit more, get used to feeling the change, because that's obviously the easiest is when I feel myself going, oh, then I know there's a thought behind it that's probably taking me down that rabbit hole. And if I can just lift my chin, change my posture, choose a positive thought, I might not even need to know what the old thought was, but just to refocus on being positive.
So Amy Cuddy's done a beautiful TED talk on how just, lifting your body can change what's happening neurochemically within your body. A lot of people are asking about, and I'm not sure whether you'll be able to answer this, the power of the connection between storytelling and entrepreneurship, or storytelling and selling.
I tell stories in many different ways, spaces, and forms. I actually do competition storytelling on something called the Moth in the States. And many of my speech coaches work across different industries. One of the industries, for example, you can imagine is a lawyer standing in the courtroom. He needs to persuade, he needs to influence a jury or a judge, and he needs to be compelling about it. If that lawyer comes in dry and factual, there's a time for that. But if they come in with evocative energy and creativity, without we can show an angle that is leaning towards their case. So I think you're right. There's a very compelling in need and more use of storytelling to present whatever it is that your cause, your heart, even your physical product is.
Yep.
So other than the books that you have written, Andrew, as stories, what is your favorite story as a movie, and what is your favorite story as a book?
I fell in love a long time ago with the Aladdin movie. I like the music. I remember I was sitting in South Africa when I saw one of these advanced trailers that Disney and Pixar do, and I had to wait 6 months for the movie, and I was there on opening night ready to see it because I'd been so moved by this little hint. And then one of my favorite books of all time is a book called Where the Wild Things Are by Maurice Sendak. And Max is a little character in that story, and he has a big tantrum in that story. He kind of goes to his room, and then he creates his own world. And as you can see from my books, I've fallen in love with creating worlds. And it probably started way back when, as a kid, when I was reading that story a long time ago.
Wonderful. Absolutely wonderful. So I was reading somewhere, and Sonali's on, and she used to be the instructional designer for English, that there are kind of 7 universal plots only, and everything's kind of fits into one of those. So it's either overcoming a monster, or rags to riches, or a quest, or the voyage and return, or rebirth, or comedy or tragedy. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to building a course with you, though.
Yes, and I know that we're going to have a lot of fun both building it and then sharing it with your community. It's anything that we can help parents just really have more fun as parents. I don't want parenting to be super serious. Stories can help do that. At the same time, you can deliver on your values and the connection with your family.
So I know we're running out of time. There's one
we are
very
running out of time.
Yes. Ravi Salunke is asking, do many of our beliefs, do they get seeded through the stories we have listened to or we have liked more?
Yes, absolutely. Particularly if we come back to the repetition. I know that I listened as a kid to Homer's Odyssey and the Battle of Troy. And so I summoned courage and I learned things from that story. Those are still alive in me today. Choose your stories wisely.
Fantastic. What a fabulous conversation. And friends online who are watching this show live, thanks for your lovely questions and comments. We will reply to every comment and every question. Even after the show is over, you can keep asking questions. Every question will be surely answered. Thank you so much, Andrew. So much of learning. This conversation has been so enlightening. Where to next, Lina?
So, well, we have next is a Korroboree request. Surja had requested that we do a session on the science of motivation. So let's just do that.
Fantastic. So great to for this show today with Andrew. Thank you so much, Andrew, once again. And thank you, Lina, and the entire audience who has been with us throughout this show. Let's see you on next Sunday, the 1st of November, to explore the science of motivation. Friends, do not forget to download the journals. Andrew has specifically participated in the building of the journal that will be uploaded today after the show. You can download the journals. Please don't forget to do the previous journals. Make journal writing and completing the journals a part of your life. You will see a lot of difference that happens once you do it. Thank you so much. Have a lovely evening. Thank you so much once again.
And Andrew, once again, thank you so much for waking up at 4 o'clock in the morning.
My great pleasure. Thank you for having me.